All right, panel. What does opening government think that this debate is about? They believe that the debate is about whether or not the debate is about whether or not these religious organizations make these decisions, and whether or not that they harm their members. And we already tell you that this thing is explicit in the motion. These guys have already made the decisions, and to some and it is possible that harm comes out from these decisions that they make. Now, what does our opening give as reply to these things? They say that why our opening flag their government points on fear, and thinking that fear is as a result of illiteracy. But we show you that this illiteracy is subject to the context of interpretation. So your education as being BSc statistician does not necessarily mean you understand your religious text, right? So that we'll be engaging that in our own substantive and showing you how that makes us different from our opening. But first of all, a couple of kickouts for this guy's bench. Now, what is Halima's major point? Their issue is on uninformed choices and coercion. And what is our reply to that? We tell you that the very nature of these religious bodies is one that as much as tells you about their good, also gives you an option. Now, the question is not about just there being an coercion. The question is, do you have a way out? Do you have a choice of whether or not to get out? Now, we understand that some choices can be difficult to take, but that does not in any way debar you from taking them. It was difficult for some people to fight for their independence, but then they knew the value of what they were fighting for. So because of that, they went ahead to fight for it. So if you think that Reverend King is strangulating you, or his church structure is strangulating you, even though that might be hard, you have an opt-out option. You have an opt-out option. Now, what does Hawa bring to you majorly? Her major point is on the mystification of religious institutions, and that is into my substantive matter, where I tell you about their self-regulatory nature. And our other major point is to protect a class of citizens which she says is the weak, and that is also integrated into my substantive matter, where we show you the interrogatory nature of these religious bodies. So that takes me to my first substantive. So what do we say? The first substantive now is about the nature of religious organizations. One thing, they have characterized nature of religious organizations, but one essential thing they miss out is the interrogatory nature of these religious organizations. Now, most often than not, these religious organizations do not have most often than not, these religious organizations have text and several ways of validating what it is that their preachers are preaching, and indeed, there is not just one single preacher, because all these things that they have said is subject to different interpretation, because it is faith-based, right? So this means that people can, on their own, can interrogate what it is that they feel they should do or they want to believe. Please say it. So secondly, what do we tell you? We also tell you about the consideration of the enforceability of these decisions that have been made. And the first thing we tell you under that is the burden of joint, which is our burden, is the area of joint liability. Now, let us look at how these religious organizations operate. Now, and that directly answers to Hawa's point, where they tell you that we should sue based on financial basis, and that is not based on the ideologies. But we tell you that these religions are vague, because when you were saying that the financial bodies are the ones that contravene these people's rights, but we tell you that these religions are vague. Even if it is not in the Bible that you should not exploit people, but the Bible still provides provisions for pastors to see visions, and in those visions they can ask you for money. So telling you again about the joint liability, we say that to the extent where you have a contributory negligence to these decisions that have been made for something that you are a part of, and you have enjoyed and you have contributed to such kind of negligence, that the joint liability status of what is in context here should not it's something that principally contravenes your right. It's something that principally contravenes your right to sue.
Okay. So the pastor is a model of what the religious organization is, and in an aspect where he actually does something that wrongs a particular individual, it is of the religious organization and they should be sued.
Okay, good. So that takes us to our self-regulatory nature of these religious bodies. Now let us tell you how this no religion right from its inception has been static. Let's take a look at Christianity, for instance. Now Christianity in olden days England in the 1602s is very much different from the Christianity that we have today, even in the Catholic Church. Why? This is because of the self-regulatory status of these religious bodies. What happens when you feel the Pope is choking you, or the Pope does not want you to become, or the Pope does not want you to become president? What happens? These things automatically regulate themselves, and that is what has led to all this this is what has led to those revolutions that brought the Reformation, that led to Martin Luther pasting his 99 theses on the door of the Catholic Church. And because of that, we tell you that these things already have self-regulatory nature of religious organizations. And their case, and where we also come in, is the case of accountability. We believe that these religious bodies have structures within themselves for accountability. Why? Reverend King, we're not also forgetting the charismatic nature of these bodies, but then we know that Reverend King, as the sole arbiter of the church, for example, also has council members. Now, even though his charismatic nature is something that we can claim that overrides these council members, but it is their fault on their own laxity for not coming together, because their numbers certainly will beat the authority of Reverend King. And that was what later happened when these people were eventually able to congregate. Fashola did not come from his state house to come and enter the church to see what was happening. What happened was these people were finally able to come together and confront this fear that their religious charismatic leaders, which we know that control so much charisma and so much power. But when they are finally able to face this fear, they achieve what it is that they want. They achieve what it is that they want, and still. Well, please stop. Okay, what happens? Let us tell you what happens when we sue. Now, the subjective interpretation of religious text. Now, the subjective interpretation of religious text. Since religions are based on faith, right? Since religions are based on faith, like everybody has agreed to these things, and you as a member, you are somebody that has given your consent. You are somebody that has given your consent. This brings us to the point of consent versus code of conduct of every religious organization. We tell you that every religious organization has code of conduct that is very much visible to everybody. And for you joining these things, you have given your consent. Now, when these people now feel that your consent is not enough because of the fear that will enter into you as a result of these charismatic religious bodies or their leaders, it's something that is false. Because even within these internal structures, they already tell you on how to counter fear, and they tell you that even when you are in church, you can be persecuted. This means that people are not necessarily afraid, and they are not scared of the concept of suffering, even because when you are within that structure, you could be poor, you could be suffering. So living it should not pose a problem of fear or suffering, or you are going to die, because inside or outside those religious bodies, you will die anyways. So why not face that option, even though it is hard, and achieve the result that it is, that you feel that it is best for you. Now, what have we been able to tell you? We have been able to interrogate the point on consent versus code of conduct of every religious organization, which stems out of the point of the self-regulatory nature of these religious organizations. And our major point has been on the joint liability, which is what cancels out your option of legal option or suing of these religious bodies. So on that note, we are very proud to